throwing fits, ripping shit, tearing it, imperative. Then I'm killing this mic no matter where I live. These derelict rappers acting a fool, this embarrassing is flagrant. That's the nature of this entertainment, and we can't even change it. Guilty before arraignment, now the system tainted. But when we speak, they all laugh at us. And y'all wonder why I'm lacking trust. Try to fight a giant with attorneys that can back them up. That's church versus science, both sides start acting up. I'm late on my assignment, hopping up a mile high, climbing. Obviously never silent, new alignment, I'm defiant. Cannot describe it, used to describe it as a young graffiti artist. Before the beard I always got carded. At every bar, even though my bar has been the hardest. The scars on my face and I ain't always been the smartest. But I'll show you where my heart is. I said I'll show you where my heart is. I can show you where my heart's at. See it on my sleeve, even if the beat stops my soul.
It's Tuesday! Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen! Little sports nonsense and whiskey coming to you with the fellas. Robert, Pinky, how we doing this fine summer evening?
Fantastic. It has been an awesome weekend. A lot of stuff's been happening. A lot of nerd shit's been happening too. We're getting into some of the apex of summer movies, like nonstop. I am stoked.
Yeah, buddy.
You want to join, Pinky? You good? Did we start too early? You okay?
Did we start too early for you? What's up, homie?
Yeah, buddy.
I was ready to go. That every time we listen to that intro, man, I get hyped. I'm like, let's talk this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
it's good stuff.
So good.
You guys start talking. I'm gonna start drinking. Let's do it.
All right.
Okay.
So, Caleb, start us off, sir. What happened this weekend? Again, I told you my thoughts this weekend, but I need you to open it up.
Look, so for the people watching, rundown, little golf conversation, because we had our special guest on last week, gave us a preview of what to expect at Oakmont. We got to watch it unfold live. It was, the course lived up to all its glory.
That last day lived up to all of its glory. That was
fabulous, fabulous. We'll talk. I got a baseball rant that I'm going to go off on for however long these guys want to hear
golf.
it. And
we got to do golf first. Let's finish golf.
Well, we will. I'm giving a rundown. Did you not? Neither one of these guys ever listen to me. They just want to hear themselves talk. I swear to God. Little golf, okay? Then we're gonna do a baseball rant. Then we've got NHL, Stanley Cup Finals to discuss, NBA Finals to discuss, F1. We're gonna try to fit all of that in this evening, and then we've got some nonsense to run down. Robert's got a couple good topics when it comes to DC, MCU, Batman. It'll get spicy. So,
they don't call me spicy.
Rundown.
Nothing,
we good? We good? Rundown. Okay. Now back to the top. Golf. Robert, I know you watched. Pinky, did you get a chance to see that final round at all? Okay. Anybody that didn't see,
you missed out on some epic sportsness.
Facts. Well stated, good sir. Oakmont, I said, it lived up to all its hype and glory. It killed it. And when I say killed it, I mean it was brutally difficult for the players. And that's what's supposed to be like. That's what the U.S. Open's about. That's what Oakmont's about. Watching professionals get insanely frustrated because they can't shoot under par. I think seeing that once a year is glorious.
It's humbling.
Well, and they should relish that challenge, not come out afterwards and be like, I think the conditions might have been too difficult, or like, no. Like, seeing only one or two of you get under par is exactly what a tournament of that caliber should do to the field.
U.S. Open.
It should make you show how good you can actually play and how inconsistent the game can be at the same time. I think that's part of the beauty of it. Watching guys like Deschambault get booted, not even make the cut, coming in as one of the favorites. Scotty Scheffler, the best player in the world right now by everybody's standards, struggled horribly all week. Okay? So to see that, Rory, I'm not even going to go down the Rory path tonight. You want to talk some Rory, go jump on our Facebook page. There's something out there that we can converse on.
Drama queen.
Dude, they struggled. And then they struggled some more. And then the final round showed up. Sunday afternoon. Everything's going, and then what happens? The rain comes in heavy again.
Downpour.
Heavy. Wreaks havoc on the court. On the course. We've got to have a weather delay. Guys come back on the course, and there's still standing water on holes. all over the place. And who rises after struggling mightily? I think bogey on the first 4 holes of his round, first 3, something like that. Mr. JJ Spawn shows up coming out of that weather delay. Buries a 40-footer, I believe it was, on 12 to start it off. And then epically steps up to a 64-foot putt on 18 to decide the tournament and buries it. Buries it. It was magical because those greens weren't holding anything. And to try and figure out a proper speed from that distance on those greens in that week, absurd. Shouldn't have happened. And the read was so perfect that the speed of it allowed it to just drop in. It's not like it hit the back and came back in. It's not like it barely trickled into the hole. It was like the perfect speed where it just boop, disappears. Tournament. Done. U.S. Open champion, JJ Spawn. Just, again.
As the babe says in The Sandlot to Benny the Jet Rodriguez, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
Facts.
That is so applicable to this. Like, I still, like, I'm watching it, I'm like, there's no way. There's just no way. But it happened, and it was there for the whole world to see. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Pinky, anything?
There's no words. Pinky's just vibing. He's just drinking.
That's pretty awesome. Like, cool. I mean, it's golf. I can't watch it. I can't do it. I just can't do it.
Let's be honest. It's a gentleman's sport. Pinky might like very approach the gentleman. The
no,
definition.
see,
No, I'm just kidding.
I hate that phrase so much.
I love you,
Gentleman's
Pinky.
sport.
I mean that with love.
I don't believe there's any such thing as a gentleman's sport.
It's a classy sport. I mean, it costs money.
We all know why people play golf. It's to get out of the house, away from their wife and kids, spend some time out there, and it's an individual because again, it's you against the course, really. It's not really you against other players, right?
It's you against.
It's cool,
you.
But I suck at it. So then, because I suck at it, I have no interest in watching it. And then on top of that, when you do watch it, it's so boring on TV. It's so boring.
Oh,
so I can watch people out on the course. I can watch people out on the course, and actually, that's entertaining. If you're there, but out, on TV, that is boring as hell. So,
I feel like
good luck
NASCAR
to you guys.
is more boring than golf to watch.
Oh, we weren't bringing it up, but yes, absolutely. NASCAR is horribly boring. I don't know how anybody watches that.
The intricacies within those sports that if you know them well or you enjoy them, there's so many layers within the game and the sport that it makes it incredibly interesting.
I'm gonna be very clear here. Yes, I'm getting into F1, and yes, it's somewhat making left turns and whatnot, but I'm sorry, F1 is more entertaining than NASCAR any given day of the week.
I could come up with quite a few points against that. I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm just saying there's a lot of arguments that I could come up with against that.
The only good part of NASCAR that has happened is the video game turn. What was it, 3 years ago or 2 years ago is what it was, when I forget the driver, but he basically hugged the wall and came into third place or whatever.
It should be on our opening segment. Unfortunately, it didn't
make
get
the
cut in
but
right
that's
there.
Okay.
But Chastain, Ross Chastain, if I remember correctly.
Thank you, Caleb.
Just one of my favorite sports moments of all time.
Video game shit.
He literally says something along the lines of, "I'm just gonna pin it and pray to God," and it was magical. Regardless, the self-analytics, I guess is the best way to put it, that every golfer does before every shot that's been part of the game since the beginning of time is wild. And so as you get into the game and you're not thinking about just hitting the shot, just trying to make contact, but you're thinking about what you can actually do with the club and the ball to manipulate that flight path and things of that nature, it starts becoming a lot of fun to then watch the game and then see them do things that like you can really only dream about. I play basketball, I play football, I play soccer. For the most part, you can kind of emulate what those athletes are doing. It's not going to look as good, but you can kind of do the same moves. But to sit there and say, I'm going to do a 250-yard 3-iron cut shot into a green and stop it on a dime, like those things are, it's a completely different level between the amateurs and the pros than any other sport out there, in my opinion. And I don't know if the general public quite understands that or realizes what the gap really is.
Touche. Touche, Caleb.
Look, I'm not saying I'm going to go out there and look like Messi, but I can, juggle the ball. I can dribble the ball. But to do just a standard flop shot,
what Messi can do with a ball.
I'm just saying to do a standard flop shot and spin it back 15 feet, like that alone is a lot more difficult than people give it credit for.
True.
So to then start taking it further from the hole and then being able to cut the ball and drive the ball, spin, no spin, there's
a different IQ that you need to be able to be this good.
It's absurd. It really is absurd. If you guys ever really want to go down a rabbit hole, go listen to an interview I believe Phil Mickelson did probably, I want to say 15 years ago now, where he starts talking about the dew on the grass, if it's morning or afternoon, the way the grass was cut, in which direction, the lie in the type of grass, and the way the grass holds can determine the way you hit the shot or which club you're picking, or like the amount of little intricacies that the pros are going through. And not all of them are going to do that, right? Some of them really do play more on feel. But to hear somebody like Phil Mickelson, who's one of the best to ever play the game, 6-time major champion winner, walking you through the things that they're calculating in their head within a 1 to 2 minute time period, and then hitting these shots the way they do, it truly is amazing.
Which he didn't even make out of the first round in the Open, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I mean, Phil's what, 54, 55?
He'll be at the Senior Open soon. It's fine.
I don't think that'll be possible for Phil. He joined Live, and I don't think the senior tour is going to be open to him.
That's right. I don't think they recognize it. That's a good point, Caleb.
He's no longer a PGA carrying member, so we could be getting to the end of watching Phil play.
Shame, but he's getting paid, so whatever.
Yeah, I mean he is. It's just unfortunate because watching
he's a great player. He should be continued.
Watching Phil play on the senior tour would have been epic. I mean they've got the U.S. Senior Men's Open is coming to the Broadmoor in a couple weeks.
I think it's in 2.
And I'll be honest, I would take any one of those dudes in the field over anybody I know. And I know a lot of really good golfers, like legitimately really good golfers. And I'd still take probably one of those seniors in that field over any of my buddies. Like that's still the level of professional to amateur in golf is drastic. Drastic. Totally. So watching JJ Spawn hit a 64-foot putt to close the tournament out and win, just it's another level of golf lore that he entered, even though it's just one championship, right? The way he won the championship at Oakmont, of all places, which is widely considered arguably the most difficult course on any major calendar. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Absolutely. Well, all right. So that takes care of golf, I think. So, Caleb, enlighten us with the baseball elements here. Let's give it to us, because Pinky and I we have nothing to say.
You guys will, once you hear what the rant involves in. I know you'll have an opinion one way or the other. Whether I stay on my island, it remains to be seen. But when it comes to baseball, I know the traditionalists will hate me and what's new, right, Pinky?
That'll be for social media to decide. But
here's the deal. The other day, I'm drawing Gabe, drawing a blank on his name. If you want to pull it up, Robert, the Arkansas pitcher in the College World Series threw a no-hitter. He was one pitch away from throwing a perfect game. He hit a batter. Some say maybe the batter leaned in a little bit. Regardless, first no-hitter in a very long while in the College World Series. Incredible feat. It's one of like 3.
Gage Wood throws third no-hitter in men's
Wood.
College World Series.
I believe it's like only the third one in a very long...
Third
in total?
history.
Okay, so yeah, third in history. This has been going on for a good century almost. Third in total. Okay? Big deal. No-hitter.
The first since 1960.
Okay, that's crazy. I saw some things come up after this that just they make me mad. And it doesn't make any sense to me, okay? I will ask you guys this before I go to the rant. Why do we play the games?
To be a legend.
No, like legitimately, like at its base level, why do we play any game?
To win.
To win.
Thank
Competition.
you. Okay. So with baseball and their unwritten rules, if you're in the middle of a no-hitter towards the end of the game, as a batter, you don't lean into a pitch, you don't bunt, you swing or you strike out. Shut the up. Unwritten rules are the dumbest thing, and that is at the top. Hey, guess what? Don't care if you're pitching really well. I'm trying to win the game. And the way I do that is by getting my guys on base. So if you hit me, you're bad. If I bunt it and you don't throw me out, don't care. My job's to win for my team. I don't care if it's the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. Unwritten rule my ass. I will do whatever I can to break that up and get a guy on base. Not swing or nothing. Idiotic. And the fact that that is acceptable as an unwritten rule in baseball is stupid.
So I may have missed this. Was this called out at some point?
It's floating around. This isn't the first time this conversation's ever come up. It's floating around now because of him missing the perfect game on the hit batter.
Because he hit somebody, and it looked from if you watch the recap of it, it suspicious. I can't say that it's blatant, but it is something that you go.
Does he lean in? Maybe. Don't put the pitch there.
Does he not?
Don't put the pitch in a position that's a ball and he can get hit. What are we doing? So we're going to change the rules for one team because the other team's playing well? What other sport does something as stupid as that?
I can't name.
I don't know, man. Baseball. It's again.
Baseball has its own rules. It's freak of nature in my opinion. And to be honest, like it's one of the few things like when you get somebody from Europe over here watching a baseball game, it's so intriguing to them because of the style of play, the pace of play, and all of these things. Like everyone has their role, and it is very much a team aspect sport. But everybody has their own job to do, and it is a very different type of sport than what else is out there in the world, to be completely honest.
I've gotten in this argument before. It is the most individualistic team sport that exists.
110%, Caleb. I absolutely, my man.
Cheers.
100%. I love baseball. I've loved baseball since I was a kid, and yes, it is very much like, I don't want to say like golf, but it is very much that individualistic mindset you have to have of like, this is my role, this is my side of things, I need to control this, and if I don't, I let my team down. But no other sport has that element at all. Because you have the leash in soccer. While it's an invisible leash, you move together as a unit to cover the ball. You're not all racing to the ball, you're covering the field with coverage to be able to mitigate any issues.
Oh, Robert, I've gone as far to say, for all technical purposes, the only thing that you really need in the field is the pitcher. You don't even need the catcher as long as the pitcher's throwing strikes. Well, now it comes in. There's some issues there because of some rules. Third strike dropped, things of that nature. Then they can run to. So, but theoretically,
Point. I
what
get your
other
point.
sport then also could you go 1v1, but you're supposed to have 8 other dudes playing with you, and
Maybe
you can
rugby?
remove them, and the game doesn't change.
Maybe rugby. Maybe.
See, I don't know enough about rugby to understand how that could really work.
So that'll be a guest featured here coming up. He's actually this is for a later segment. He's currently assisting with the FIFA Club World Cup in Seattle.
Work.
Yeah, he is checking on all the players and making sure everybody's legit and stuff. Like he's a big rugby guy. Is actually going to be on the Olympic development team, I think. So we'll come back to that at a different point, but he'll be on the show at some point. I'm getting him on.
Word. So that's the baseball rant. The fact that I see that floating around again, and there's like the unwritten rules in baseball are just silly. And this idea that baseball's this gentleman's game, like it's on the same level as golf or tennis or like it's so silly. So silly. Can't bat flip. Can't yell at somebody. You can't get out of here with all of that. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid.
Absolutely.
Act like you've been there before. I have. Do you see how excited I am? I feel good. I am acting like I've done this before. You haven't, apparently, because you're not excited and celebrating. So shut up.
I love it. All right. So any other... well, I will say, Caleb, you made a post about this. We do need to touch on this for at least 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes. I'm being very clear. Ohtani coming to the mound, finally pitching. What are your thoughts?
Rough inning. He pitched 1 inning. Rough inning. I think he threw 28 pitches in 1 inning. Not great, especially when that's the first inning of the game. Gave up a run or two. I think he had a strikeout. Gave up a couple hits. But positive side, he was throwing gas. I think he went 98, 98, 99, 99, 100 to start the game.
He threw 28 pitches with 16 strikes, and it was 100.2 mile an hour pitch that he had. So
that was his top speed.
Yeah, that was the top speed. So yeah, he was throwing hard.
All things considered, positive signs. Doesn't look bad by any means. Knock some of the rust off in 1 inning. Let's see what happens going forward. But look, I've had a couple posts here recently, basically saying I believe Judge is the best player in the game right now, and the way he's playing is insane. And the moment I do that, he goes over the weekend 0 for 12 with 9 strikeouts. Average plummets a little bit and doesn't look as great. But that's baseball. It's a long season. The ebbs and flows and the peaks and valleys are drastic, so I'm not worried about it. But the way Aaron Judge is playing right now, he's entering into potentially all-time great conversation, and he hasn't even won a championship yet.
Facts.
But the stretch he's gone on these last couple of years and getting better, the only other thing we can really relate it to at this point, to be perfectly honest with you, is what we saw from Jokic the last 6 or 7 years, where winning MVP and then having even better seasons to follow it up.
13 of his 28 pitches were 98 miles an hour plus.
There you go. So that's why I said Judge is currently the best player in the game. And I did caveat that a little bit in a couple ways. One, I said I've widely said and acknowledged that for my money, in my eyes, Ohtani is the best talent I've ever seen on the baseball field. And he might be the greatest player ever. And I said that because he was hitting and pitching at MVP and Cy Young levels, which is absurd. If he comes back and does that again, and Judge keeps doing what he's doing, we might be witnessing the greatest, not potential rivalry if they keep seeing each other in the World Series, or we keep getting that kind of matchup over the next 5-6 years. We could be witnessing 2 of the top 10 greatest players ever in their prime right now.
Absolutely.
So really excited to see what Ohtani does coming back. See what Judge does as the season continues. Baseball's got a lot of storylines, and we don't talk about it a whole lot. I mean, Boston traded Devers, which is mind-boggling.
There will be space coming up with hockey and NBA ending, so we'll definitely get some
Bullshit.
baseball in for sure.
Yeah, Pinky's right, probably, but we'll see what happens.
NFL talk is going to rule.
There's plenty of other sports outside of football, Pinky.
I force it down his throat during training camp and the start of the season because of playoffs, and he doesn't even like those little. So we'll see what happens, but we'll still do playoffs.
I'm salivating over this FIFA Club World Cup right now. So that is my guilty pleasure that we don't ever get to talk about because I love soccer.
Champ,
right, so
it is. I get you, buddy. I get you. There's so many other things though that are more consumable for us. That
it hurts. It hurts. But next year, you best believe, Pinky. I'm sorry. The summer is dedicated to the World Cup. Period. Point. End of story. You don't get a say.
Sorry. I don't know about the summer.
That is the whole summer. It's a good
summer. 6 weeks. So yeah, it's gonna.
That is the whole summer. Yeah,
there's gonna be some segments on the World Cup.
The third week of July will be when we can talk regular shit again. But
yeah, anyways, it is a 6 week. It is, yeah, Pinky, you're going to be hearing a lot of soccer next summer, and not even that, Robert. There's going to be leading up to because we're going to have to discuss the final qualifiers.
Absolutely, and
when they finally set the table and we finally get the groups, and so get ready, Pinky. Where shall the group of death lie? And
when you guys talk a lot, I drink a lot.
Okay,
we're good.
Who comes out of what group that we're going to be predicting before the game's even? Yeah, you're right. You're well said. Yeah, Pinky's just going to have to deal with it.
I'm already ready than most people, and I will say this preemptively. It is recorded today. When Germany plays, and depending on what happens, I may not be even having a voice. So we'll get to that, but that is just spoken.
Well, we need to make Kansas City happen, boys. We got to make it happen.
Oh, I will donate a kidney if I need to.
Okay. Yeah. Good.
Anyways, so wrapping up baseball, with it actively being played, we've got the NHL Finals where Florida is up 3-0 right now. They lead the series.
Over.
I would not say that, Pinky, because if it wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, Caleb, was it game 1 or game 2 when it was 3-0? And then all of a sudden it was 5-3 at the end. Hockey's wild, man. Don't count anybody out.
Yeah, they did a game 4, I believe it was down 3-0 in Florida. Something.
Wild.
Yeah, the Oilers are not necessarily out of it, but chance to win. You've looked like the more energized and better team in this series. Third period up 3. I would say the Cup's probably going to stay in Florida if I had to guess and sit right back down in Miami. I don't know what else to say except for Edmonton looks like they just don't have the legs to keep up with Florida. Is it their depth? Maybe is it
their goaltending
injuries? We never really know about injuries in hockey. That's one sport that they could have a broken tibia and they'll be on the ice, and the only thing you got before the game was lower body, and you're like, so is it serious or not serious? Lower body. Okay. I guess we'll see how he plays. And then he'll play the whole game, but he may not look right, but you still don't know what the injury was. So Edmonton could just be really injured more than Florida. They could be gassed. Florida could just be the better team, and they could just be putting it to them. It's really hard to say right now, but one thing is clear. Florida is winning and better.
It doesn't look like they honestly have the legs to keep up with Florida. Like you said, it's plain and simple. They don't have the energy to see the thing through. Now they get a couple shots and they get lucky. Absolutely. I mean, that's been very clear since the series started. And Edmonton is no slouch in that regard. But, I mean, you watch these games and you see what's happening. I mean, in the first 4 minutes, Florida's up a goal. And now here we are at the end of the second period, and it's now 3-0.
They've kind of been doing that all series, going up early like that.
So,
the first 2 goals. Third goal, they're the goalie was screwed. There was no defense. The puck was in deep, and they were able to hit it off a guy's skate right in the goal. The goalies,
So-
there's only so much the goalie can do, and he's
I'm-
definitely not good enough.
I personally see Florida walking home at the end of the night with the cup. Period. We're gonna be watching a cup raised. At least I think. I hope I'm wrong because I would love to get a series out of this, but I really do think that Florida is they're sealing the deal
Edmonton
right now.
doesn't have the legs. They don't have the legs to come back.
Really hoping. I mean, I was pulling for Edmonton. I thought they'd win in 7 back at home. I really don't see how they get it done. How you win this game down 3-0 going into the third period, and you've just looked like I don't know where you find enough energy to overcome Florida on the verge of winning the cup energy.
And Florida will just play gritty, dirty. They're
Not to
going to be
mention-
playing to just keep the puck out of the zone.
They're on home ice. They're going
Yeah,
for the
exactly.
they're going for the guttural. It's over. To bring because Caleb, correct me if I'm wrong, but they did not win in Florida last year, did they? I'll consult the Google.
So they definitely
that was
won in Florida
7.
last year because they were down 3-0. But I think Florida had home ice, right? Or was it Edmonton?
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like Florida had home ice last year.
I'm looking.
So
think
game
Florida
7
did.
was in Florida last year, I believe.
Yes.
Although I feel like Florida came in as like an 8 seed last year or something stupid.
Yes, they did win in Florida in Game 7.
Okay.
Amarant Bank Arena.
Yeah, and Connor McDavid won the MVP and refused to come out of the locker room to accept it, and it was a big deal, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, why? That's stupid. Why?
I mean, that's kind of part of the hockey unwritten rules, but the hockey unwritten rules make sense. You know, you don't touch the conference finals championship trophy because you want the Stanley Cup, or like there's just certain things that they do as superstitious, but they have meaning, right?
I mean,
So-
okay, but like I could care less. Like his team lost. You want him to accept the MVP award and you want to have a ceremony for him, I think is silly. You should be celebrating the winners of the cup. So if he doesn't want to come out and do the ceremony, cool, move along, and nobody should care twice about it. This idea that he was a brat or stuff floating around on good old social media and whatnot, and a lot of media members talking about how he should have humbled himself a little bit and sucked it up and come out and accepted the trophy still, this, that, and the other is ridiculous. Like, dude, I don't need to see him come out and accept that. I know he's the best player. He just got his ass handed to him in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. That's the trophy he actually cared about. If he doesn't want to come out while the other team's celebrating to accept a trophy as the losing team, don't care. Not even a little bit. And I don't blame him.
Like, it's so rare. I know hockey is one of the ones that it happens in. I'm sure it could happen in basketball where the MVP of the series loses the series, but it's not common. In the Super Bowl era, that's only happened one time. And that's because the game was so god awful that they had to give it to somebody, and it was a defensive player. This is Super Bowl 5, Cowboys and Colts, 16-13. Somebody had to win it. It was Chuck Howley for the Dallas Cowboys, and they lost the game. It's not happened ever since.
Understood.
So,
well, there you go.
and
Piece of history.
and that's for a reason. Like, they don't want to give the MVP trophy up on the podium while the other team is celebrating. Like, it goes to the winning team. Period.
That's fair. That is
I don't think it
fair.
has to. I honestly don't. I think many times the best player has been on the losing team, and I got no issues with that. This idea that just because you're the best player on the winning team makes you the MVP, I think is silly in team sports.
And
People with their eyes can see who the best player is.
And I could agree with you, Caleb. There are certain situations where the other team's player, I mean, you probably could have had MVP votes for Tom Brady against Nick Foles, right?
Oh,
I mean, Tom Brady threw for like 500 yards in that game and 4 or 5 touchdowns. Like, it's possible, but again, it's just something that just one of those things that just doesn't happen very often. So, congrats to Panthers fans. You guys have been on quite a run. It had been a long time since the state of Florida has had, well, I guess Tampa. Outside of hockey, the state of Florida really hasn't had any champs in a long time. So, congrats to Florida. They should be bringing home another cup. I don't see a miracle happening. So,
was Florida State National Championship the last time Florida celebrated like a championship?
I believe
outside
so.
of Florida
was,
Panthers
Jameis
winning the
Winston,
cup last year.
In Tampa, the Lightning.
When did Tampa?
The Lightning
Oh
won
yeah,
two
the
cups
Lightning won
before
before the Avs, right? The year before the Avs. So
before the Avs,
Tampa.
yeah.
So
they won two.
Dude, Florida's a hockey state now.
Who knew?
Florida's a hockey state. Screw football. Put them boys on skates and let's go.
You know Jacksonville ain't helping. Miami definitely ain't helping.
Crazy.
You got the Gators who have sucked for over a decade. Florida State's back in the hole. They suck. Miami hasn't won anything in years either.
Miami's
Miami
garbage.
Marlins, you shut your whore mouth, Robert.
What are you? Miami.
Don't
Miami, the soccer team with Messi. They suck.
Oh,
no, I'm not talking about anybody else.
About that.
I care about that. Screw you.
Nobody cares about Inter Miami. Get out of here.
That's where Messi is. Everyone in the world cares about Inter Miami, and the fact that they're sucking right now is a problem. But we're not talking about soccer right now.
It's the MLS, and Messi could give a shit less. So I don't think it matters even a little bit. And that's come from somebody who likes soccer.
Money. He's counting his money. He's all right.
The MLS is a joke, and for people to think other ways, like, and when I say joke, I mean on the level of which they try to equate themselves to be. They try to act like they're one of the top clubs within the sport in the world. And as far as talent level goes, I think it's proven time and time again on many different levels for many different reasons that they are a third level minor league at best. Like, it's bad. And they refuse to do the things required to change that. So I don't expect it to be anything other than a retirement league to collect a check from the best players in the world. That changing anytime soon.
Solid. No, I completely agree with you, Caleb. I mean, really, with everything else that's happening, like you said, strap them skates on them, boys. Let's let them cook, because we're not even talking about the Miami Heat. The Dolphins are in complete disarray. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are kind of getting good with Baker Mayfield, but we'll see what happens this year. We're not even going to discuss Major League Baseball there, because that's just...
I guess the Bucks 2020 Bucks won a championship. That counts.
Yeah, I really messed up. There's been quite a few actually since Florida State. So my bad, Florida. Still hockey though, as of right now, based on the way things are going. Yeah, Bubble Bucks. Forgot about the Bubble Bucks.
Well, good deal. Well, so wrapping up hockey then, Caleb, give us your basketball hot takes. Let's go.
Well, first off, cheers to Indianapacers fans. I was wrong. I apologize. Now, I still think OKC wins the series, and they very could just win it in 6 instead of 5. I do believe, though, and people don't. I've had a conversation with a couple different people that tried to get on me and be like, well, you picked OKC to blow them out. You said gentlemen sweep, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but I also said every game would be competitive and close. I just felt like OKC would kind of be the ones that came out on top at the end. So it's not like I said the series would be a blowout. It's just, you could flip a coin 100 times and it could come up heads 100 times straight before you ever see a tails. The 50-50 probability isn't exactly what you expect it to be when you think 50-50, right? That doesn't mean you're going to win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It could just mean if you do 1,000 of them, 500 times, you're getting one or the other. So I am, though, very impressed with what I'm seeing from Indiana. And I do think with Halliburton out, the series is over.
Absolutely.
I do. I do think Game 6 will be the end now. No Hallie, going back home. And I'll be honest, if I'm Indiana and Halliburton, like, I know this is a one-time opportunity. You may never get back. I get all that. But, man, make sure you feel good about your decision, because what we've seen from recent history, when guys go out there and play with a calf issue, it becomes an Achilles issue real quick. And we've seen it from multiple basketball players, multiple football players. This isn't a one-off. This is something we've seen enough to be like, oh, damn, it happens again. It's starting to become common. Like, people aren't going to think twice about it. So if your calf is what you're saying it is, you might just have to eat it and sit out. And it's going to suck. And it changes the series drastically. And that's brutal. Because it's something like when he scores 20 or more, they're like 7-2 in the playoffs or something like that. When he doesn't, they're like 1-8 or something. I can't remember the exact numbers. It's drastically different. And Pinky, I was telling you last time, if I thought Indiana had a chance, it was going to be Halliburton being aggressive early. I said he's going to have to start getting his early and then getting everybody else involved. And in their wins, that's kind of what he's done. And if he's going to be out, look, TJ McConnell's a nice little point guard to come off the bench for you. One of the best backup point guards in the league. But now you're asking him to start from the beginning. So he's not going to be that burst of energy off the bench. He's going to be starting from game tip. And then you're going to have to go deeper in your bench to bring in somebody else that probably wasn't getting any minutes or very little minutes to then rotate back in to play that backup point guard when he needs a break. So the dynamic that creates and changes completely for the Indiana Pacers, and then losing their leader and best player, I don't see. And look, I said OKC was probably going to win in a gentleman's sweep, right? So I've been wrong. I said I thought these two teams were almost dead even, but I had OKC as just every time I looked at something, I had OKC just a little bit better. So by no means was I ever disparaging Indiana. They played great, and they exceeded my expectations of what I expected to see from them in the series. But you are now missing your best player going into Game 6 with a team who looks like they finally realized what they need to be doing in their groove. And you're not just dealing with SGA anymore. You're dealing with Jalen Williams, who over the last 3 games is averaging over 30 on 40% shooting from 3 and a couple rebounds and assists to go with it. Now you have to stop 2 dudes. Absolutely. And if you send multiple guys at those 2 dudes, OKC has a lot of other guys that can go get buckets. Their third option in Chet isn't bad. Pinky was trying to say some crazy stuff last week about somebody being better than him on defense from the Nuggets, and that's just absurd. There was a stat the other day that Chet Holmgren defending Indiana Pacers players, what he did to them was basically just shut them down.
That's because they were scared. He's a bitch. He's still a bitch.
You crazy, dude.
I don't like him, man. I just don't. I keep watching and going, I just don't like this guy.
That boy's straight from the hood of Minnesota. Now,
as hood as you can get in
I don't know exactly. Well, I mean, look, Detroit's got 8 miles, so just because they're up north doesn't mean they can't have a hood. Like,
whoa, but we're talking about Detroit. Minnesota and Detroit are very different.
I'm just saying it could still be
very different.
I didn't know anything about 8 Mile until Eminem came out. Okay, so. Well, just nobody's made it up out the hood except for Chet Holmgren. So listen to his story and maybe you'll realize it is a hood. I'm just saying.
I don't like his game. I think he's weak. I'm going to stick to it. Every game I've watched him in this series, he has a couple moments. But for everybody's like, oh, he's so amazing. He's not. He's just tall. And I'd be shocked if he doesn't get majorly hurt at some point, in my opinion. So, but
him and Wemby are not that much different, Pinky. Him and Wemby are not that much different.
Wemby's a way better defender and a way better offensive weapon than Chet will ever be.
The difference is not as large as you would like to believe, good sir.
I don't have a dog in the fight, so I'm just going to plead the fifth.
And look, if I'm being perfectly honest, I've said that. I'm on record with it. I'm good with it. But there's people in the basketball world, if you don't want to listen to some dude in his basement on a podcast, like you think I don't know what I'm talking about, there's dudes in the basketball world who have said very similar things. Now, I'm not saying Wemby isn't a better player. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not going down that road or that conversation right now. I'm just saying the games are not that much different. And if you want to talk about a gap, then I'm just going to tell you the gap is not as big as you would like to believe.
Solid. Love it. All right. Any other NBA takes before we move on?
Man.
Pinky has his hand up. What do you got, Pink? You've been quiet most of the season.
I just got super excited today. Shaquille O'Neal, one of my favorite basketball players of all time, was officially announced as a playable character in WWE 2K25.
Oh my God.
We are not even making that transition because there was some legit basketball news I was going to bring up before we moved on. You silly human being.
That's still basketball.
That's still. I get his point.
That brought me.
Pinky
I love Shaquille O'Neal, buddy. I love Shaquille O'Neal.
Is Rodman a playable character? Is Rodman a playable character?
This year it's Tyrese, Shaq, and there's one more NBA player to be named.
Okay, well that's bullshit because Rodman should be permanently in. Like he was part of NWO. Like none of these other assholes have been part of anything. They just show up for a buck or two, or maybe their spotlight moment and leave. Rodman was part of NW. Know what I'm saying? He was there.
Rodman missed practice to do NWO, so I'm with you. I can get behind that.
All right.
On some basketball news before we move on. I am very intrigued by what the NBA trade market is going to look like over the next couple of years with the way they're valuing players and picks. Desmond Bane's a nice player. Okay, don't get me wrong. I like Desmond Bane's game a lot. But to go for 5 firsts and some talent on top of that, look, I get the NBA draft isn't very deep, okay? Year in and year out. I get not a lot of guys come that fill positions and make meaningful contributions to their organizations. It's not like the NFL, and I understand that, okay? But what does that say more about? The talent coming into the league or the evaluators and the developmental aspect once they get into the league?
Pick this guy. So I personally think that the evaluators have it wrong. And there's been a lot of reasons and a lot of players that have come through the league. In the most recent years now, again, I am prefacing this with the utmost transparency. I am not a basketball person, but I follow the stories. I don't watch the games. I'll be very clear on that. But when you look at a lot of these evaluators and some of the talent that is moving into the league and some of these things that are being shuffled around and proposed on media, I disagree with, because a lot of the talent that is in there are making big waves and a lot of people don't recognize game, period. I don't know what your thoughts are, Caleb, but there's a lot of game to be said coming from these guys, and they're doing a lot of things that I just don't think that a lot of people ever would have expected coming in as rookies at all.
Something to keep an eye on, and you're right, Robert. Cheers, good sir.
Woo! And fuego.
What did I say about Bronny James?
He's going to need to be farmed first, and then he's going to be built up and become a superstar.
I didn't say a superstar. Let's pump the brakes a little bit there. There went all of our credibility quickly. No, but I did say I believe he can become a solid 3-and-D guy in this league. a legitimate 3-and-D guy. And he can fill somebody's bench spot, a possible starter maybe. I believe the talent is there. And I think given what he showed this year in the G League and some of the moments he had in the league, I think people, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it feels like the media greatly changed their tune from what they were saying from the start of the season to the end of the season about Bronny James' game.
Absolutely. And you could see it because they were, for lack of a better term right now, because it's not fully true, but bashing him in every way possible of his play. While he still was a adequate player, he wasn't a terrible player. All that, and Caleb, you had said this several times, is that he's got to grow that talent. It's got to be there. He's got to have the right motivation and the right people behind him to be there, outside of being LeBron's son. And you could have seen that from when he went to the G League and going through everything else. The growth is there, and he could fill a spot, but as of right now, is he no means a actual full starter? Is it possible? Absolutely. But that's going to take time. It's not going to happen next season. It might not even happen the season after that, because there's still a lot of IQ growth that needs to happen for him to become that level of player.
So, again, the reason he's brought up, though, isn't to go down the rabbit hole of this, that, or the other, who's right or wrong, is he good, isn't he good? It's to discuss the development of said player. Let's look at what the Timberwolves have done with some guys. Like Naz Reid went undrafted, if I remember right. And he's 6th man of the year candidate. Like, you either have the ability to grow and nurture raw talent or you don't. I think arguably one of, if not the greatest example of that, is Kawhi Leonard and going to San Antonio and then becoming what he is now. Yes, a lot of that's on the player and their ability to soak in, mature, learn, and apply the things that they're being taught. But Kawhi did all that. And that's not just the player. That's an organization being able to develop and grow talent at the same time and allow that talent to develop. So, and we talk about it all the time in the NFL. Like this is a very common topic in the NFL, especially with us. Square peg, round hole stuff, right, Pinky? But I feel like it doesn't get talked about in basketball a lot. And I don't understand why. But now it's so bad that we're throwing 5 firsts and additional talent for a role player. And Bane, again, is a really nice talent, but he's not going to be a perennial all-star. He's not going to be first, second, or third team NBA.
Some of the articles I had seen were calling him the missing piece.
Oh, hell no. Orlando's going to be good next year. Don't get me wrong. They're going to be good and they're going to be competitive. What they gave up in the pieces that they actually gave up that will be on the court, okay? The actual talent that they have already that they gave up, the players, what they replaced with Bane and whatever else they fill in, along with Banchero and why am I drawing a blank? Franz Wagner. Like, that's going to be a deadly trio. All those 3 dudes fit each other's game very nicely. Bane fits into that very nicely. It was a great grab by Orlando, especially when you think about the fact that they're a very young team already with a lot of other young talent on that team that they put draft capital into that they like. So giving away the next couple years of first isn't necessarily a bad thing, because where are those first going to fill in? Especially if you're drafting kind of in the middle of the draft where it's not the top end talent. Then you're really looking for more role players. And if you already feel like you have the right role players,
what's the point?
Right. And you're young. So it's not like they're in win now. And they feel like they've got a window to let these guys grow and potentially come out of the East. I do think there's some talent there that they could do it. But it's a big ask, okay? So let's see what happens. For Memphis, I don't hate to trade for Memphis either. You get some nice firsts, one of them being Phoenix Suns first. And the way Phoenix is looking right now, that's going to be a real nice early pick. Nice early lottery pick. But are you going to rebuild completely? Are you going to tear it down? Are you going to move John Moran? Are you going to move Jaren Jackson? Or are you keeping those two and you're going to use these picks to add veteran pieces around them? Or both of those players are still young enough and just kind of entering their primes that you can still grow with them. If you want to add some more draft capital and then sign some veterans in the next couple of years and see what you can do and just kind of reset their market basically around those two guys, you could do that too. But Memphis is kind of in limbo right now. And they have to be very definitive with which direction they decide to choose going forward. Because if they try to stay in the, well, we're not going to tear it down and rebuild to do everything and just get all the draft capital and stuff we can and get rid of John Morant, get rid of Jaren Jackson and just completely reset. But if you don't use some of those picks to then go get some vets and fill in around those two to be truly competitive, and you just try to tote this line with drafting and not adding and not moving capital, like Memphis could really screw themselves if they don't just pick a path and go with it. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. But again, like Rudy Gobert going, I said it back then. It was absurd. Absurd. I love Tim Conley. In Tim Conley, I trust. But for him to give up that capital, I thought Danny Ainge fleeced him. And I've been getting blasted for years on my Rudy Gobert take. And within the last year and a half, 2 years, Pinky, everybody's kind of come to that side of the fence now. And they're like, oh, yeah, I guess he's not that good, huh? Weird. So, this isn't like, what does Kevin Durant go for? Because here's the crazy thing. He's more valuable than both of those dudes as far as talent. But how many more years does he play? 1 or 2? His contract's also a lot more expensive. Are you just trying to win right now? Because what you're going to have to give up to get Durant is basically mortgaging your future. Or does it come down to the fact that Phoenix waited too long? They should have moved him a year ago, like I was talking to him before. And now they're going to get not even pennies on the dollar. I'm talking fractions on the dollar.
Man, I tell you, I know one of the rumors is that he wants the Spurs. If I'm the Spurs, I don't know if I even want to make that deal. I'd rather
Spurs
just keep
are out.
building young.
Spurs are out because they're not giving up that top pick. They're not giving up Castle. There's no reason. There's no reason for them to get rid of the young core they have because Fox is young still, Wemby's young still, Castle's young still, Sochin's young still. What they have, they want to go sign some vets, they can. But with the draft picks they have and what they can add to it, dude, they're good. They're good. So this NBA offseason, dude, I'm going to be talking about it a lot because I think there's going to be some crazy moves that are going to be very unexpected. And when I say unexpected, I honestly believe, 2015, 2016, when the news dropped at like 10 a.m. on 4th of July that Kevin Durant was signing with the Golden State Warriors. I'm talking like that kind of crazy news, like that kind of unexpected stuff. This
Do we even have any
with the
free
NBA.
agents at that level?
I'm not even talking free agents, Pinky. Trades even. Because with that second apron the way it is right now, there's going to be, I just had this feeling, and Shams Charania had already kind of said it. He thinks it's going to be arguably the most volatile in a good way offseason in NBA history.
All right. Last minute. We need to move on.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And this value is going to play into that a lot and the way they value picks, players, and the like. So I'm super excited to see what happens because this Bane trade is already absurd.
Pinky, final thoughts on that?
I mean, volatility is good. Parity is good. Bringing more competitiveness into the NBA, that's a good thing. Can't hate that.
Solid. All right. So, Pinky, this is another drinking session for you, sir. So, cheers. Formula One. What a weekend. What an absolute shocking turn of events. Period.
That could have been even better had disappointment not struck towards the end. Went from being almost arguably epic to just good. Kind of, like, you know what I mean? Like, kind of crazy.
So number one, and I will say this as I'm wearing, I'm not wearing a true Mercedes F1 that's coming this year, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the closest Mercedes thing that I have currently. Kimmy would have been overtaken. In those last 3 laps, it would have happened.
One of the McLarens would have gotten by him for sure.
I mean, that was the thing, as you heard in the champions tent. He was having a hard decision to go left or right, and Max Verstappen is just stay in the middle. He would have been overtaken, and he wouldn't have podiumed. Period.
Well, and those 2 McLarens at the time were the 2 fastest cars on the track.
Absolutely. And what blows my mind is, the inside is, I would say 60% of the time is where you need to be. Maybe 50-50. But I don't know what Lando was thinking. Trying to go on the outside not even into turn 1. We weren't even there. We were getting there. We were at the start.
Did you see Jacques Villanueva basically say he felt it was a bit of a nasty move by Piastri because he should have stayed on his line, not fade over towards the outside on Norris.
There's
stuff coming out now where when it happened, everybody's kind of like, what the hell was Norris thinking? And even Norris came out and he's like, my bad, Oscar. That was fully my bad. No idea what I was thinking. But what's crazy is when it happened in the moment, Robert, I went, oh, damn, Lando has a line. Oh, damn, it's gone. Like, instantly. Those were like 2 thoughts instantaneously. So then after the race, when I heard everybody like, what was Lando thinking if that's on Lando, blah, 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 I was kind of like, okay, like, I'm still too new. I don't quite know. I don't know if, like, he got in a line where Piastri was already going to be and that's on Lando, or did Piastri really fade over? So then I'm hearing Villanueva talk about this, and I'm kind of like, oh, interesting to hear somebody of that caliber give that perspective. So Absolutely. He basically said there's going to be some conversations in McLaren this week. And it's not just going to be about basically how Lando made a mistake. And I was like, that'll be interesting. So even if it turns out it is Lando's fault, maybe the percentage isn't as great as it may have initially been thought by the majority.
And from what I can see, and this is just, again, being a greenhorn to the sport, understanding it, watching the improvements and things like that. Mercedes made some major changes in this break. All for the better, because Kimi ended with one of his last 2 races with a failed power unit, and just an abysmal performance in oh shoot, why am I blanking on the name? Monaco. At the Monaco race, both from George and Russell, that was terrible performances. And then now all of a sudden to come out into Canada and take him first and third and leading for most of the entire race, pretty insane. Ferrari is finally, I think, getting close to a breakthrough. They definitely have been improving lately. McLaren, again, we'll see what happens after this conversation that happens in the garage. But overall, what a racing weekend. It was great. And I'm really looking forward to what happens. I think my favorite takeaway still from the weekend is that if Max Verstappen was not racing for Red Bull right now, they would be in dead last because their other driver is practically non-existent. The Constructors' Cup would not even be a reachable goal.
I don't know if I would say dead last.
No, it is. No, it has been. That is
because I still think like the car's built to max, right? That's been all the talking points. The second car is built basically the same way, and nobody can drive like Max. So you're basically putting the second driver in a position of failure from the jump, unless they are just one of the best drivers, like some of the other teammates he's had in the past that decided to bounce because they weren't being given the opportunities to truly win because Max was the guy, right?
Because Max is Max. You can't take it away from him.
So it's basically like if you want Max, you get the driver's points, but not the Constructors' Cup. Is that what's going to be the story with him moving forward, especially with him coming up with free agency and things of the nature? That'll be interesting to see. But I think at this point, I still believe the Constructors' Cup is locked up. I think it's McLaren's. I don't see how they lose it. Unless they have this for the next, they have this for the next 3, 4, 5 weeks. Okay, maybe, and then I was wrong and I'll eat my crow.
Let's bring it.
I can't imagine this ever happens again for the season, though. And the fact that both of them probably would have ended up on the podium, for sure one of them, the way their cars were driving. I'm saying the way their cars were driving, for sure one of them, maybe both of them would have ended up on the podium had that not happened. It's hard to believe that Constructors' Cup isn't locked up. But with that happening, it does make the driver standings a lot more interesting. And while there's still the top 3 in Piastri, Lando, Verstappen,
maybe
that
Russell
kind of opened up the door a little bit now for Russell to maybe move up there. If Ferrari can get their heads out of their asses, they want to pick one driver. Leclerc is probably the one that they'd have to go with. He could possibly see some interesting movement as well. Not all the way to the top probably, but look, there's still what? We're only on race 10? I think it was.
We're going till November, baby. We got
there's still 14. I think there's 24 total races if I remember correctly. So we still got 24 if I remember correctly. So we still got 14 races. We're not even halfway done with the season. So a lot of movement can still happen, I believe, in the driver's side. I think even if there's a lot of movement on the driver's side, I still think McLaren, the Constructors' Cup is theirs to lose, and there's no going away from that. So
yes, 24 races, Caleb.
Okay, so see what happens. See what happens.
Right. So bridging off of F1, just to lightly touch on this before the actual release weekend, the New York premiere of F1 has happened. It is growing big. It is supposedly the event of the summer, supposedly projected to beat Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic Park.
What? Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
This is the same production team that was behind Maverick. And to further this, they've actually done something that no other production company has ever done. They have released a haptic trailer. So if you have an iPhone and you can watch the F1 trailer, because it is also produced by Apple Studios, some of the movements in the movie, in the trailer specifically, will also be fed through your phone through vibrations. It's a very unique feat. It is very cool. Has actually been one of my favorite things so far of this year is just that trailer, and actually getting to feel it in my hands before I'm in a theater.
Don't worry, people. I'm pulling it up as he's talking.
Wonderful.
Like YouTube, I can just go to YouTube, official F1 trailer. Like that's what I need to see.
So
or what?
I watched mine from the Apple TV app.
That's not happening.
But I believe, but yeah, it's only if you have an iPhone you can do it. So I don't think you need to be an Apple TV subscriber. I think you just have to have it installed, and you should be able to experience it.
Oh yeah, well, let's see what happens here. Continue.
There you go. Enjoy. So a lot of good things out of this so far. The reviews have come out about 80% certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Again, Brad Pitt really coming back to the big screen, something that's never really been seen before outside of maybe Ford versus Ferrari. And I forget the other one with Chris Hemsworth. But overall, I mean, this is going to be a wonderful display of technology in today's day and age for a racing movie. So a lot of good things to come with this. Again, you heard it here. This is probably going to be the movie of the summer. All right, moving into the next topic as I brought it up for Superman in DC Comics as a whole. James Gunn has had a lot to say. I don't think he is wrong in any case, and that's why I personally think that the crown now is being handed off from Marvel to James Gunn, DC, inadvertently. For the simple fact that James Gunn is valuing quality over quantity and has even thrown out a full script from the DC universe because it just didn't fit. So a lot of good things, and even calling for the options of basically saying Superman's beatable. You see a lot of these comparisons online about different superheroes, like, oh, what if the superhero went against Homelander and whatnot. And for James Gunn to come out and say this Superman is designed to be beatable, I think gives a whole new shape to superheroes as a whole, and specifically Superman. And to further that, this is not the first. Yes, Caleb, it is that good. It is that good.
This is crazy.
Yes, sir. It is amazing. Again, that has been by far my most favorite part of this year.
This is the best trailer ever at this
Yeah.
moment in time. This
Yes.
is crazy. Guys, yeah, you got an iPhone. Go to
Check it
Apple
out.
TV. You don't have to have a subscription. Go to home. The trailer's sitting on their homepage. I can feel the car as I watch the trailer. This is sick. This is cool,
Yes.
dude. I love when technology can do stuff like this.
So again, this was designed specifically from Apple Studios. Again, and I've said it here, Caleb, and I know you don't agree with me, but nobody is doing it better than Apple right now when it comes to content.
And
They are
losing
killing it.
billions of dollars at the same time.
It's insane, but they're making it work, and I'm not gonna fight it because
They've
they
got
are
tons of cash,
producing-
Caleb. They ain't worried about it.
They
Yeah,
are
but is the con like?
producing-
Look, I'm sorry, but they've yet to put out anything that makes me go, yeah, I need Apple TV now.
You need to get. I'll just give you my login, and I'll get you.
That's
caught
way
up.
out of bounds.
Yeah, that's way out
It's
of
not.
bounds.
That's way out of bounds.
What? Give me one. And don't tell me the soccer Rufus shit bull.
No,
I don't.
Severance, For All Mankind, Napoleon, that was a great movie. Foundation, The Dark Horse, Shrinking. I mean, I could go on and on, bro. I mean, Harrison Ford's
Mythic
comedy
Quest,
show with Jason
Ted Lasso.
Segel, Mythic Quest.
Ted Lasso
I mean,
is
you
not
said
worth
that's not for
buying
him.
it.
Mythic Quest.
Yeah, it
as
is.
I'm
Ca-
talking
as
like
Ping
GOT
just said.
level or.
Yes. All right, Caleb. Foundation, For All Mankind. If you're talking GOT level, those are it.
Literally
right
never
there.
even heard of any of them. Like, and I follow stuff fairly well.
Those are the shows to be watching. Those have their season 3 of Foundation is about to come out, based off of a fantastic novel. While the source material and the series actually differ very greatly, phenomenal. Taking basically the principles of mathematics and being able to predict a fall of an empire and what happens and how to predict certain events and things like that. Absolutely mind-blowingly epic. The cinematography of all of these shows are far superior than any Marvel movies put out in the last 4 years. Far superior than actually almost any movie maybe outside of Dune and Oppenheimer, I would say. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So Caleb, if I will happily give you my login to just pick something.
I'm just saying, if they're that good, they wouldn't be going under the radar as much as they are and losing as much money as they are. So what's the issue? Where's the disconnect?
So most of the time when you look at some of the old TV producers and sitcoms and whatnot like that, they all operated at a loss. It's actually pretty common in this industry.
Oh, no. A show to operate at a loss, maybe. A studio to operate at a loss, no.
But it is, again, this is by purchasing their streaming service that you get this access. So it is, in a sense, a limited audience, but these are some of the best shows and are winning the most awards right now.
Right, but again, I ask you, where's the disconnect then? If they're that good,
because
and
satellite
they're
doesn't
going
exist.
under the radar, like, where's the disconnect?
Again, very simply, it's just the cost of all of these streaming services. People have to pick one. It's
But why aren't people picking Apple over Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or like what?
Because with
why
Amazon,
is Apple usually the odd one left out?
Because very frankly, you've got your, and excuse my language, but you have your Disney whores, you have your Amazon stay-at-home moms that pay for their subscription service and then also get Amazon Prime with it. I mean, those are going to be the big two right there.
Sure.
Hulu has some of the most bigger sitcoms. I mean, Family Guy, American Dad. I mean, some of the Fox Studio stuff. Again, Predator, Killer of Killers, Prey, Gossip Girl, and whatever else is on some of these more major networks. And while Apple is their people look at Apple and like, oh, it's the snobby type of crap, which I mean, to a point is very true, but and I again will put this out there, and I will happily bleed for it. There is nobody else doing TV right now like Apple. Like, again, even Andor, I've talked about it on here several times. While the both of you need to get caught up on that, I will happily give myself out for any Star Wars entity, period, minus the Acolyte and the sequel trilogy. I will put that up against any of the Apple Studios TV shows right now. Period. Plain and simple. They are producing some of the most beautiful, heartfelt, and intelligent shows out there. Period. Ben Stiller has put out one of the best psychological shows in I would say the last decade. He has really told a phenomenal story, and the actors that have been in it have also translated now to some of the big screens, and that's actually one of the best parts about Mission Impossible is the boss of Severance being the submarine guy, the submarine captain. Phenomenal. And I will happily take that this is the last. Like, Ahsoka never happens, Mandalorian never happens. If that means that Apple is going to be putting out this level of show business, I will put my money in Apple all day. I will cancel my Disney Plus subscription tomorrow. Period.
Okay. Real quick, Florida just won Stanley Cup.
Woo!
Game is done. I do believe my prediction of Brad Marchand in our group chat, Pinky, is the MVP is probably going to come true. Let's see what happens here in a little bit.
For sure.
For sure. Congratulations, Florida Panthers, back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
Cheers.
You played phenomenally. Well done. Connor McDavid may never get a cup in his entire career.
So was not...
Yeah. Back to the nonsense. Apple's awesome. We're good to go.
Was not trying to go down that rabbit hole, but it had to happen. So now going to the DC side of things again before we started, before Caleb went off and realized how amazing Apple is with trailers. So DC Comics,
cool.
Yeah. DC Comics, James Gunn again has come out and has even said that he's thrown away a script thrown out a whole project, because it just wasn't right. And he's having issues in trying to find a right story for Batman right now, and he has no issues talking about that. I think it's smart. I think it's great. And again, that's one of the few things that he personally did right by with the end of Avengers Endgame and then going into Guardians 3 is like, I'm not doing Thor in my movie, and completely removing him. I thought that was one of the best things about Guardians 3 and finally wrapped that trilogy up with a beautiful bow. Thor had no business being in the Guardians to begin with at the end of Endgame personally. And then unfortunately we got Love and Thunder, which completely wasted Christian Bale's gore. But DC Comics is, I think, going to have the crown now inadvertently from Marvel because of what they are going to be doing with their franchises. I really think Superman is going to blow a lot of people's minds. I, again, personally actually think it'll stand above Fantastic Four when it comes out. Not that they are really competing, but I personally do think that Superman will be better than Fantastic Four, period. And when Creature Commandos Season 2 has started production, which I think was a phenomenal show. We got Aquaman coming up here in August to kind of also round out some of the things from Superman and introduce some other elements. Even today we got our official DCU confirmation of Clayface, which I personally am not very familiar with this actor. But from the interviews and things that have come out since he was hired, seem to put him in a pretty great light. So we'll see what happens. And then Caleb, I know you've been biting your tongue all afternoon since I had confirmed this for you. So we're just gonna go ahead and this will be our final topic for the evening. Is Matt Reeves has still not turned in a script for the Batman 2. It is not canceled. Apparently, he is just slow at producing this, and we need to give him his time. So Caleb, I'm gonna let you take this one, and I'll chime in afterwards. So please, the floor is yours.
I've got a theory, and keep in mind, I would consider myself very much a casual when it comes to comics. I know enough to get myself in trouble, is how I look at it. And I don't know a whole lot of deep lore, especially when it comes to the DC universe. So talking about like Creature Commandos, Clayface, things of that nature, like what? Like I got no idea.
Clayface is a classic Batman villain.
Right. So on and so forth. My point being, I got nothing. Okay. I'm trying to be transparent and honest here. I think if you're asking me, James Gunn is making a giant mistake in the way he's starting to build the DCEU, because he is going with Guardians of the Galaxy for everything to open it up, where Guardians was a very niche part of the MCU to open it up. And they came with their big hitters first and then built in these other things to expand out the universe, and it worked out beautifully. I feel like he's trying to do the exact opposite. And the reason I've come up with this theory now, and the reason I'm kind of feeling this way, is because I now fully believe, and I have nothing to base this on, this is just a working theory. The reason the second Batman movie hasn't happened is because James Gunn can't figure out to do a better version, but he refuses to bring Matt Reeves into the DCEU. And because of that, he keeps behind the scenes. Notice how we don't hear Matt Reeves talking. It's only James Gunn talking this whole time. I think Matt Reeves has had plenty of good scripts and ideas. I think they've all been so good, and James Gunn can't figure out what the hell to do with an actual legit character, not some side character, but a legit character that should be part of the very start of this universe. And because he can't figure out how to do a good Batman, he's not allowing Matt Reeves to move forward with his, because it's only going to push people even more to say that is the Batman for your universe and just get over it that you didn't create it. And I personally now am a little skeptical of James Gunn and what he could potentially build. And that's from somebody who loves Peacemaker, thought it was great. But I just, look, I'm seeing some things that I can connect some dots to that don't have me very excited right now.
And I will say, Caleb, I will agree with you to some extent.
Cool. Cheers.
I mean, my big thing is in why Matt Reeves's Batman doesn't fit to James Gunn's universe is he is too grounded. It is too rooted in reality.
Yeah, but any Batman, a good Batman should, one, and two, didn't James Gunn come out and say basically he didn't want a campy, funny Batman? He wanted a legit, like, kind of darker side Batman?
Correct.
You already have it!
But
well, what are we doing?
But the problem is that when you have some of the established things like Peacemaker, and then from the footage of Superman so far, it breaks that connection. It is too, and the only way to say it really, and I hate saying this, but it is too Batman. And when you look at
too gritty, too dark, too crime realistic.
It's year 2 Batman. Like this, I mean, this is as Batman as you're gonna get in some cases. While yes, in some other versions you do have that campy, gritty side of it, like you kind of had ish with Batfleck, which again didn't really get its growth or real need to actually serve its purpose. You can't have Robert Pattinson's Batman exist with this Superman. You put them together and they are so polar opposite, it becomes actually kind of a joke. It really does. Because when you watch this, it gives a lot of the Sam Raimi multiverse vibes of it's meant to be fun, where the Batman and the Penguin are meant to be real. They're not meant to be fun. They're meant to hurt. They're meant to make you think. They are meant to make you go, oh crap, Gotham is screwed. And there is no saving Gotham.
But hasn't that always, and again, casual, okay? I love it. I've never dove into it as much as maybe I've wanted to for one reason or another, okay? But I have guys like this who I ask questions to when I want to know a little bit more. And I'm learning. Hasn't that always been the dichotomy of Gotham and Metropolis?
Well,
aren't the comic books even that way? Like, Batman comic books are dark. Superman comic books are more light. Like, the colors, the storylines, hasn't that always kind of been the thing? So why not play that up with the movie and the universe?
Because it really just depends on who's writing it. To be quite honest, it is who is actually writing the story. Because, the Killing Joke could exist, sure, with the Man of Steel's Snyderverse timeline, which they kind of hinted at in Batman vs. Superman with the Robin costume. But again, you run into that issue of, well, yes, you have this, but also by that point, that Robin costume is the second Robin. So we've already had a lot of those stories go so untold that it's just Batman, 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 where it is Batman and Robin, Batman and Nightwing, and so on and so forth, where you have all of these other people go into the Batman story that give it that leverage to go into, this is Batman of the Justice League.
Look, I'm going to be honest with you. The more you talk, the less faith I have in James Gunn. Because now I'm starting to think he's just not creative enough to find a way to tie it in. Like, lighten the story ever so slightly from Matt Reeves. Or, find a way to darken Superman just a little bit in a scene or two to make it relevant of why him and Superman or Batman are... Like, now it's just making it sound like James Gunn doesn't have a creative enough thought process to pull in a great entity because he was so one-tracked on his vision. He was unwilling to bend or change. But now he realizes what he was going to figure out isn't as good as what's already out there, and he can't figure out how to fix it. I can't help but that's my thought process now, and I don't know how to get around that. Help me.
So, and
are we just going to have to wait to see how good Superman is and then pray everything else goes well? Because, look, you try to get me into Creature Commandos, I didn't think it was worth watching.
Caleb, the Superman movie is riding on everything DCU right now.
All right.
I'll flip it, and I'll play both sides of the freaking fence here for our audience. Superman is all riding on James Gunn's universe in the DCU. Well, you know what? Fantastic Four is the exact same thing for Marvel right now. If the Fantastic Four fails, which it has repeatedly, Doomsday will be a failure. period. Because the entire setup is off of Fantastic Four.
Since you flip gears there just a little bit, and we can end it on this thought. And we don't have to go too deep into this now, but we can kind of just kind of have it as a continuing theme as these movies come out that we can discuss. Is there source material for the Fantastic Four being Retro's 50 different universe? Like that's legit source material, or is this kind of a big stretch and they're using a storyline but kind of changing the look vision, if you will, just so they can do a multiverse style take on it?
The Fantastic Four is actually Marvel's first family, and it does take place in the 60s. So a lot of that does happen, but it doesn't some of it doesn't happen in 616 as we all have come to deem it. Because in 616, and I'm going to get so much hate for this when we post this later. The 616 Silver Surfer is a male. It is not the cousin or whatever. I forget what the relation is. I've been drinking.
But the Fantastic Four isn't the 616 version of Fantastic Four by all accounts, right? So
no,
this is a different universe.
That's why you would use a different Silver Surfer then.
But with them bringing in, and this is where.
But then why is Galactus? Like
spoiler
because you're
spoiler alert.
Because you already have a Celestial that exists in the 616, and we're already telling stories off of it. So to bring Galactus into this, it's.
Well, haven't we already shown Galactus in the 616 by all accounts?
No, we haven't, because you're thinking of the Eternals, and that's not Galactus. That is not Galactus. It is from the same family, but that is not Galactus.
Okay.
So, yes, I understand and hear what you are saying.
So basically they're saying then that not just everybody is infinite, but so are all the entities as far as celestials and gods and...
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Which is a big problem. It's a massive problem for Fantastic Four to come out.
Does anything come out this weekend?
No.
Damn.
Not for movie wise. The only thing that right now is happening, and I think it's next. You know what?
I have a babysitter this weekend. Family's coming into town.
How to Train Your Dragons out?
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragons.
No, that ain't.
I mean, Mission Impossible. If you haven't gone to see that, that would be it.
Nah, wife's not about the Mission Impossibles.
I
could care less about paying money to see a live action of something I've already seen. I'll wait for that to come out on video.
So the Ironheart.
Although I have heard it's really good.
The Ironheart series starts June 24th.
Okay.
28 Years Later is out if you're into horror movies.
No.
But then there's Ballerina. That would be the other one to go and see.
Yeah, shouldn't do the John Wicks either. We'll see what happens.
Then you screwed.
All right. So obviously there's going to be some themes of nonsense that we continue throughout the summer, and it'll be fun to break those down and see how things unfold. Gentlemen, final thoughts, please. Pinky, you haven't spoken in just a minute or two this evening. What are the things on your mind as we end the show?
I don't have anything on my mind, but I will give another shout out to my wife. She got me a really cool Father's Day present. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says Aaron Stadium Tours. And this is the NFL map. And it shows all the different cities. And I have little footballs to put in of stadiums that Andy and I and my wife have gone to.
Make sure you include her this time. Pinky made the big faux pas of saying him and only Andy on the Facebook post, and she was none too pleased.
I did that on
Hannah, we got your back, girl.
I did that on purpose, and she enjoyed that she got to make a funny comment. So
yeah, she jumped on that real quick.
Yes, she did.
Robert, good sir, your final thoughts for the evening, my good man.
Oh man, got F1 again coming up here this weekend, I do believe. So excited about that. Getting to live vicariously through my buddy who's working the FIFA Club World Cup right now. So getting a lot of cool pictures and things of a lot of the players and buses and whatnot. So love that. The World Cup is around the corner. There's a lot of big things happening already. that I would love to talk about at some point. So maybe you'll catch Caleb and I posting it later this week. But gosh, this is my favorite season of sports. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of different things to be rooting for and watching, whether it's not mainstream. It's just a good time. It's still sports. It's good competition.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you stick with us, I promise you the media narrative of the dog days of summer for sports fans and not having something fun to talk about, don't listen to it. Don't listen to it at all. We got you covered.
Come talk to us.
I promise you there will be enough sports conversation that will intrigue you, and there'll be enough nonsense conversation for even the hardcore sports fans to have something to listen to. That dog days of summer, that's been gone for a long time. Come on over, listen to us. There's so many great sports things going on right now. There's so much nonsense that we can discuss. It's full. It's chock full. And the NFL's right around the corner, which Pinky's then going to cause it to take up all our time. And we're not going to get to talk about anything else. So just get ready for it because we're here for that too. So we appreciate all the love, support, likes, shares, follows, subscribes, whatever the things are called.
Anything and everything.
Anything that is a part of our universe, we cannot thank you enough, and we truly appreciate it. Do not take those moments with your family, loved ones, friends for granted. Father's Day was last weekend. Great opportunity to jump on those inner circle moments. Find another reason this weekend, and find another reason the weekend after that. 4th of July is coming up. Take advantage of the moments. Spend that quality time with your inner circle, loved one, friends. You will not regret those moments. It doesn't have to be blood. It's just the people that you feel like deserve your time, and let them know it. Okay? We appreciate all of you. Until next week, we're out. Peace.
Cheers.